Hello, myself Sunil Ramakrishna. Here basically we are discussing one of the topic that is regression. In this one of the person told the new blood group basically came. Reason he was not able to get the money and he was basically not able to get the data and he was not able to adjust into the any of the 22 blood group basically. Due to that basically Universe group basically created his blood group basically into new blood group. Reason basically he was the group basically was not able to adjusting him basically. Now basically the data has already came into the environment. Now basically currency department basically have to print the money of that new blood group. Why? Because environment is basically getting created and it's already created, everything is already happened basically. Now basically you have only one option, you have to print the currencies basically for that new blood group basically. Now that energy basically which is generated into the environment, that is going to merge to this also basically will get changed. Why? Because this is created from the set of infrastructure basically that we have already discussed. That in that basically new infrastructure is going to add, this also going to change, this also going to change, this also going to change. So everything basically is going to change basically. Then it was that yes, basically everything is basically going to change. In this basically one more type basically will come into the picture, into the human clone basically and human souls basically. That new blood group data basically has came basically. So according to that basically you have to be prepared for that basically. Because human clone basically is equal to what basically? Set of blood group basically and their data basically. So there basically new data has came basically. So in that basically you have to add this data also. Or basically existing human clone is already created. Then basically you can create few injections basically, and in that injections basically that contain basically one blood group data basically. So you can just imagine up to what level the medical industry is also basically reached. One of the person told that each and every blood groups are connected with the king's group. Then he told that yes, basically it's connected with the king's group. So there are 22 blood group. So which king group basically containing what data basically. Then he told that basically the king groups has invested the money basically. So they only basically will be owner of the blood group basically, because they have invested the money basically. So investor basically are this group basically, that is a king group basically, who basically invested the money basically for that blood group owner basically. So blood group owner basically, they basically are might be the normal person also basically. They can be the king also basically, or they can be the normal person also basically. So if it's a normal person, then basically somebody will hire him and then basically start doing the investment basically. And if they are doing the investment basically, then basically they are going to take the return also basically from that. So everything basically is stable energy and unstable energy. So in this basically assume that basically one new blood group basically data which was added basically into the environment, that data also basically came into that 1500 building basically, which we had discussed. That time basically the Microsoft Corporation basically has basically connected with the 1500 building, and they basically passed the stable and unstable data into the environment. That is the building's environment here, so that basically the building is not supposed to move the left side and right side basically. But in that basically one data was not taken by the Microsoft group basically. Due to that basically the environment basically become unstable, and their area basically what their group basically started getting some disease basically. Then into the DS basically. So there basically the disease started, and there the disease started there basically, and the buildings if the buildings disease basically starts, then basically the automatically the environment also basically becomes unstable. But it's not, it will take basically time, it will not basically that day or night basically everything is going to happen, because stable data is already there basically of the 22 blood groups basically. So this blood group basically is not going to affect too much basically. It will affect basically, but it will not affect too much basically, right? Why? Because these 22 blood groups data basically are there already basically. Their data basically are already there basically. Their data are already there basically. So directly basically it's not going to affect. So one of the person told the utilities Nova like, then one of the person told that utility is there basically. This all Rocky Talkie, this all are what basically. Then he told that are utilities only basically. So Noval basically, which is booting from the computer basically, booting software basically, that is also utility. Then he told that yes basically. That is also created by whom basically? That is created by one group basically. That is not created by any of the normal person basically. That is created by one booting person only basically. Then into that yes basically. It's created by the one of the booting person basically. It's created by the one of the booting person. So one of the person told that basically. Do we have basically this data basically? That is this, for example, Rocky Talkie types are created. That is 100 types of Rocky Talkie is created. So do we have the incidence of each and every Rocky Talkie type created? Then he told that incidence means stories basically you can say. Then he told that yes, stories basically we have it. The stories are basically not created basically, it happens automatically. And story created basically into the environment basically. They say that basically we have created this many cities. And in this city basically this story is generated, that story is generated. This each and every story basically is generated by the government group basically. They tell us that basically when this city was created, that time basically we have generated these all stories basically into that city basically. And whatever basically is going to, the person basically who is going to staying in that city and into that area basically, their story is going to generate like this only. Then into that ESV, their story basically are going to generate like this only. Their stories basically are going to generate like this only. So one of the person told that yes basically it's like that only basically. So like this basically the story is going to generate. So one of the person told that 100 types of Rocky Talkies basically are there. So when it was created, the infrastructure, one Rocky Talkie type basically creation basically takes thousands of infrastructure basically has created. So that thousands of infrastructure which was created, that incidents basically you have the list of incidents. Yes, basically the nuclear power company have the incidents. The Bollywood group is there, na basically. They have created each and every incidents movie basically. For example, tomato equal to created from what basically. That basically they know, and they have created the incidents also basically, that if tomato basically is you are going to use basically, your body is going to generate this, that, whatever things is going to generate. For that specially movies are created, specially serials are created, yeah basically. So each and every tracking information is also basically happening in the Bollywood group basically. That's why they have created their own human souls also basically. Their human clone data also basically they have prepared basically. For example, one Bollywood basically star basically of 1970s basically, he died. Then into the years basically he died. So he basically gets new birth in 1990. Again he basically died. Then he gets birth in 2000. Again he died. 2009. 20s. So in 2020s basically you can get the data basically with the hero basically which is standing in front of the you basically, or actor basically, which are basically standing in front of you basically. They are basically got how many birth basically. Then he told that yes basically that basically need to find basically how many birth basically they have got, and which birth basically currently which they are standing basically, which is that birth number basically. So that all are basically data basically. So it's not like that basically they are also basically handling everything basically in that way basically. They are basically also handling basically that way basically. That is not possible basically. So he told that basically Bollywood groups are also basically handling each and everything basically. And they told that basically everything basically is handled, that is okay basically. But whatever things basically you creates in the earth planet, that converts into the energy basically. For that basically we got the information basically that everything basically creates as energy. So we created the movies also of each and every incidents, that is tomato equal to going to create this whole incidents. For that basically we have created the movie basically, and that movie basically has converted into the human souls also basically. And that human souls data basically is as in the 10 crore people basically are there, and the 10 crore people basically which are basically having the data basically inside their, and their basically energies are basically connected with the environment basically. They are handling the tomato data basically into the environment. So in next video basically we are going to see a little bit more about this.